Was Broncos Ring of Famer Karl Mecklenburg a little off base with his post on Russell Wilson? Plenty to dive into. Welcome to your Denver Sports Daily for March 6th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel V. Hill.
Broncos Ring of Famer Karl Mecklenburg was among those that was not impressed with how Wilson handled his time here in the Mile High City, posting on social media, ultimately discussing the fact that he had a private quarterbacks coach, how his family got special treatment, so many different things. And so I feel like we need to dive into this just a little bit because, yes, Russell Wilson did in fact have a private quarterbacks coach, Jake Heaps. He did have access to the team facility under former head coach Nathaniel Hackett. Sean Payton put an end to that very quickly. Yes, Wilson had an office. I was one of those people that was very, let's see, what's the word I want to use? Not okay with the fact that he had an office. It didn't make sense. But interim head coach Jerry Rossberg shut that down after the final 2 games of the season. So now for when it comes to Sierra, Wilson's married to a famous pop star. Like, come on, what is she supposed to do? Go walk around on the hill and talk to people and not get bombarded by fans wanting to take pictures and get autographs? Listen, I get it. A lot of families don't get the kind of treatment they did. But if any other player would have been married to Sierra, we probably would have saw the exact same treatment. So to kind of penalize Russell Wilson and his family for that one was just a little frustrating. There you can see his post, and it says, "Got cut," up at the top, as if that's going to be super embarrassing for Russell Wilson. Overall, I wasn't a fan of this. I think that, we want to talk about being a leader from Karl Mecklenburg. This one was not showing good things. Russell Wilson's already been cut, obviously, by the Denver Broncos, been released, and they're looking to move forward. So I didn't think it was a good look for him, but to each their own, I guess. Now, former NFL wide receiver Harry Douglas went on ESPN's Get Up when it came to the Sean Payton and Russell Wilson relationship in Denver. And he goes, from what I witnessed from Sean Payton when it came to Russell Wilson, since the moment he got there, they didn't only dislike Russell Wilson. In my eyes, he hated Russell Wilson. I think that was evident to see, Douglas went on to say. I don't think that this is a hot take by any means. I think a lot of people are assuming that Sean Payton hated Russell Wilson, despite Russell Wilson and Sean Payton both saying that they have a quote unquote great relationship. But it was interesting to kind of hear all of the pinpoints that Douglas had to say on ESPN. That post is obviously out on social media, so you can definitely find the full thing if you are interested. Now, according to Adam Schefter, the Broncos have given Russell Wilson permission to immediately begin speaking with other teams in their home cities. I find this to be quite interesting, considering it says in their home cities. But essentially, if Russell Wilson gets paid, they can deduct that from the $85 million that they will have to pay him. So, of course, they're hoping that he gets signed. Now, the Denver Broncos will not be placing the franchise tag or transition tag on any of their players this year. And that was to be expected. But when it became official Tuesday, when the NFL unveiled the list of players given those designations by team in advance of the new league year, which starts on March 13th, there was one candidate for the Broncos franchise tag, and that was center Lloyd Cushenberry. Things had been looking different for the Denver Broncos, and they were going to be contenders. We might have seen Lloyd get that franchise tag. But with where they are now, it's definitely not going to happen. The 2020 third-round pick had his best season last year. And like I said, in a different environment, he may have been brought back. Now, keeping Cushenberry on the franchise tag would have required a almost $21 million cap charge for the season. Cushenberry is expected to fetch somewhere between $10 and $13 million per year on the market, which, of course, is a huge difference right there between 10 and 13 to almost $21 million. A total of 9 NFL players got tagged ahead of Tuesday's deadline. Here is the list. You can see Jalen Johnson, T. Higgins, Antonio Winfield Jr., L'Jarius Sneed, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Allen, Brian Burns, Justin Maladuke, Kyle Duggar, so many different names right there, but ultimately 9 players get the franchise or transition tag. And tag players received a guaranteed 1-year salary based on the top 5 salaries at their position. The team also has the right to match any other offer from another team, or they can receive 2 first-round picks as compensation. The difference between the transition tag, by the way, is that offers no draft pick compensation. Now, teams and players can also work out the long-term contract between now and July 15th. The Denver Nuggets. Oh, the Denver Nuggets. People were a little worried last night with how they looked against the Phoenix Suns, but Jake Shapiro was down there at Ball Arena with your morning recap.
And the Nuggets fell behind because of a 21, 22-1 run in the second quarter. They got killed. It was 37-18 in that quarter. Grayson Allen hit his first 8 threes. He's getting beat by a Dookie going hot from 3. Kevin Durant put the finishing touches on the game in overtime, scoring 8 of 15 in overtime. It's really impressive that the Nuggets even came back in this game. They got thoroughly outplayed. Just not a good Nuggets game tonight at all. And Nikola Jokic was off. Jamal Murray said he didn't have his smartest game. Malone said some guys just didn't bring it on defense. And, maybe they got caught looking ahead to Thursday when the Boston Celtics come in here to Denver in a game that the entire basketball world is looking forward to. But for the Suns, it was almost a cathartic win. They were without Devin Booker. They'd lost 2 straight. They were playing 3 games in 4 nights. Their backs were against the ropes. And they found a way to get a win in a big spot. So maybe more for the Suns meaning than it was for the Nuggets. But this is something maybe the Suns will look back and say, hey, maybe there's something on the Nuggets perimeter we can attack if we run into them in the playoffs. Nuggets fans, I wouldn't read too much into this one. First loss in 7 games coming out of the All-Star break. Again, Thursday's the big one. Jake Shapiro, Denver Sports.
Like Jake mentioned, the Nuggets got scorched by the Suns in the first half, down 65-50. Jokic wasn't shooting incredibly well. Grayson Allen literally could not miss. He was plus 24 in the first half. And if you're a Broncos fan, then you were excited to see Terrell Davis was in the house. But Michael Malone was not thrilled with the second quarter. Take a listen.
37-18 to allow a 21-1 run. And as I told our guys in a few of the huddles during that second quarter run that they had, it's imperative. We weren't making any shots. We had 4 turnovers and 6 points during that stretch. But when you're not making shots, you got to find a way to guard. And we did nothing in that quarter. I believe second quarter, 37 points on 59% from the field. And then to your point, I couldn't agree more. You have to expend so much energy to get back in the game. Great look to win it at the buzzer. Then you get to overtime. And obviously we gave up 15 points. I think they were 6 of 7 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, and our first 2 possessions of overtime were turnovers. So we kind of got behind the 8 ball rather quickly. But to your point, Matt, I think that game was lost in the second quarter.
Now, should Michael Malone be pissed? Yeah, it wasn't a great showing for the Denver Nuggets, but let's be honest, they may have been looking ahead to Thursday as they will be taking on the Boston Celtics. That will be an intense game, a game a lot of people will be watching. But now, speaking of the Boston Celtics, the NBA and the Department of Culture and Tourism, Abu Dhabi, announced that the NBA Abu Dhabi Games in 2024 will feature the 17-time NBA champion Boston Celtics and the defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets, playing 2 preseason games on Friday, October 4th and Sunday, October 6th in Abu Dhabi. Definitely something to watch. Now, the Colorado Avalanche. Valeri Nichushkin is likely to return to action on Wednesday night against the Detroit Red Wings. Now, that is expected right now, but he still does have to get cleared by the NHL. He entered the player assistance program of the NHL and NHLPA on January 15th and returned to practice on February 26th. Many are hoping that he'll get back out there tonight. The Avs have played 4 games without him since he has returned to getting himself back into shape, and they've gone 3-1 during that stretch. Now, the numbers with and without Nichushkin in the lineup are pretty staggering. Last year, the Avalanche were 39-8-6 with him and 12-16-1 without him. This year, Colorado is 26-11-3 with him and 12-9-2 without him. That's basically a 500 team without Nichushkin and a Stanley Cup contender with him. Head coach Jared Bednar, like I said, did point out that Nichushkin still needs to get cleared by the NHL, and we can only hope that that will happen. Now, the Avalanche did add somebody ahead of the trade deadline in a weird way. So the Avalanche had Ivan, which interesting, and there's jokes that his middle name is also Ivan, but he's been with the Avalanche's American Hockey League affiliate, the Colorado Eagles, in the 2023-2024 season. He collected 12 goals, 15 artists in 15 games, leading all of the Eagles rookies in goals, assists, points, and multi-point outings. He joins the NHL squad on a 2-year deal. The trade deadline is coming up on Friday. Jesse Montano is going to join me on Coffee Break to figure out what the heck the Avs need to do ahead of the trade deadline. It's going to be a great show. As always, please come hang out with us. And then you can catch the Avalanche taking on the Red Wings tonight. It is Bednar's 600th game as an NHL head coach. Red Wings are 33-22-6. Avalanche obviously sitting at 38-20-5. That is a 7:30 puck drop, so definitely make sure you check that one out. So plenty of good stuff on this Wednesday, of course. And one other thing that came out, Peyton Manning is pursuing Bill Belichick for Omaha Productions. The Athletic put that out earlier. I find that to be really fascinating. Do I think that Bill Belichick could add a lot to any of the productions that they're going to do? Absolutely. I would love to see his take on it. Do I like seeing a former Bronco and a former Patriot kind of combine to figure out something? Not necessarily, because I remember being mad at Bill Belichick quite a few times, but anything Peyton Manning has in mind, I'm definitely always about. I want to check out some of your guys' comments as always on this Wednesday. Having his own office was crazy. Yes, I was very much not about Russell Wilson having his own office. And I feel like I was one of the only people that was like, this is weird. He should be in with his teammates in the locker room. So enough of that. Nathan McKinnon going for an unbelievable 31 straight home game point streak tonight. Yes, let's hope that Nathan McKinnon can keep the streak alive. He has been absolutely unreal this season. And man, do I hope that he has a huge chip on his shoulder. That way he can really lead this team into the playoffs. A lot of people are saying that it's going to be a first or second round exit for the Colorado Avalanche. I hope that is not the case. And if Nathan McKinnon can continue to play the way that he is playing, then hopefully he can leverage them enough to be able to do it. Let's see. How much money do you think Russ is going to lose when he sells his house? It's a great question. He obviously had the most expensive purchase for a house in the Denver metro area here. And yes, it was expensive. Yes, he was assuming he was going to be here for quite some time. But to be honest, I don't know if it's necessarily about how much money he's going to lose on the house, but instead, how long is that house going to be on the market? I think that will be one of the bigger questions too. So plenty of good stuff, like I said, on this Wednesday. I appreciate you all hanging out with us. I'm seeing the numbers right now, and I love that you guys are all getting behind these shows. So I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Get back to work, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.